Your life begins to change the moment you focus on solutions, not problems. Most people don't even realize it, but they spend their days stuck in what's wrong. They overthink, they complain, they wait for something to fix itself. And the more they focus on the problem, the bigger it feels. That's why progress feels so far away, because the focus is in the wrong place. If you keep feeding the problem with your attention, you'll stay exactly where you are. In this video, you'll learn how to focus on solutions, not problems. You'll understand how to take back control of your mind, how to stop letting your emotions make your decisions, and how to shift your attention toward what actually moves your life forward. This is real talk, real mindset work, and real results. No fluff, no hype, just clear, simple truths that will help you stop wasting time and finally start growing again. Chapter 1. Take full responsibility for what happens from now on. You know, one of the most important steps you will ever take in your life is this one right here, when you decide to take full responsibility for what happens from now on. Not for what happened years ago, not for what your parents did or didn't do, not for what your boss said last week, not for the way the world operates, but for your life from this moment forward. That kind of decision changes everything. It changes the way you think, it changes the way you respond, it changes the way you act, and most importantly, it changes what happens next. The moment you take full responsibility, you stop waiting for something outside of you to fix your life. You stop pointing fingers, you stop hoping that maybe someday your circumstances will magically get better, you stop giving your power away to other people or to the past. See, when people stay stuck in problems, it's because they're caught in a loop of blaming. Blaming is easy. Anyone can do it. You can blame your family, your past, your friends, your environment, your education, your job, the system, but none of that changes anything. Blaming doesn't build anything. It only drains your energy. It keeps your focus locked onto everything that's wrong instead of everything that could be right. And here's the truth. If you blame something, you hand over your control. You give away your ability to change. But when you take full responsibility, even when things weren't your fault, you take your power back. Responsibility doesn't mean it's all your fault. It means it's now your job to deal with it. And that shift is what creates forward movement. You can't grow if you're always explaining why you're not where you want to be. You can't improve if your energy is stuck in defending your pain. That's not how progress works. Growth begins when you say, "This is my life. It's not perfect, but I'm in charge now." Not your excuses, not your problems, you. When you take full responsibility, you start paying attention to what you can control. You begin to notice your habits, your patterns, your thinking. You ask better questions. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you start asking, "What can I do about it now?" And that's how you shift from focusing on problems to focusing on solutions. Because problems will always be there. They're part of life. But how you show up to them, that's your choice. Every single day, you are given the chance to either complain or create. And the difference between people who move forward and people who stay stuck is not luck, it's responsibility. If you want change, you have to build it. You have to show up for yourself. No one's coming to push you every morning. No one's going to rescue you from your laziness or your procrastination. That's on you. And that's not a burden. That's your power. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having all the answers. It's about owning your effort, owning your time, owning your decisions. You start seeing results in your life the day you stop running from accountability and start building consistency. Every little action you take matters. Every time you choose to take one small step instead of getting stuck in fear, you make progress. But if you spend your days defending why you haven't changed, nothing will change. You have to be honest with yourself. What are you avoiding? What are you pretending not to know? What patterns keep showing up because you won't deal with them? See, responsibility is about confronting those truths. And it's not always easy, it's not always comfortable, but it's real. And real is what creates results. Most people spend more time describing their problems than fixing them. They repeat the same stories for years. They relive the same pain over and over. But talking about what's wrong doesn't solve what's wrong. You need to shift into doing, into acting, into becoming the kind of person who solves, not someone who waits for life to feel better before trying. So ask yourself, what can I do today that moves me forward? Not next week, not when you feel ready, today. What can I stop doing that's slowing me down? What excuse have I been making that needs to be removed? What habit needs to be replaced? That's what responsibility looks like. It's clarity, it's action, it's facing the mirror and saying, I decide who I become next. And don't wait for someone to give you permission. You don't need approval to change. You don't need applause to grow. You need discipline. You need direction. You need honesty. Taking responsibility doesn't mean life gets easier, but it does mean life gets clearer. You stop feeling powerless. You stop blaming your past. You start focusing on solutions because you realize your future depends on what you do now, not what you wish would change. So, no more stories about why it's hard. Everyone has hard. Some people use it as fuel. Some use it as an excuse. The only difference is choice. And the best part, you can choose again, right now. You can choose to rise. You can choose to let go of what doesn't serve you. You can choose to show up even when it's tough. And people will notice. You'll start thinking differently, speaking differently, acting different, not because your problems disappeared, but because you stopped letting them define you, because you started solving instead of stalling. Don't wait for motivation. That comes and goes. You need responsibility. Responsibility creates structure. Structure creates results. Results create confidence. And confidence keeps you moving. It all begins with a decision, a real one. The kind where you draw the line and say, from here on out, I own my life. Not halfway, not when it's easy, every day. And you'll fail, you'll mess up, that's part of it. But if you keep showing up, keep learning, keep owning your effort, you'll keep growing. That's what matters. You don't have to change everything today. You just have to take responsibility for your next step. And then the next one. Because once you get in the habit of owning your choices, your mindset shifts. You become someone who builds instead of waits, someone who solves instead of avoids. That's where real strength comes from. Not from having no problems, but from building the habit of rising above them. That's what it means to focus on solutions. That's what it means to take responsibility for what happens from now on. Your time starts now, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, now. Show up, own your path, be the reason your life moves forward, and never forget, your future depends on the actions you take today. Chapter 2. Train your focus to go where progress can grow. Your life will always follow the direction of your focus. If your focus stays on what's missing, what's broken, or what hasn't worked, then your mind will build patterns around those things. You'll feel stuck, not because there are no opportunities, but because your mind is constantly replaying the parts that are broken. That's not because you're weak. It's because your attention is being trained in the wrong direction. Every day, most people wake up and their attention immediately goes to what's wrong. They think about the stress, the noise, the problems, the things they don't like. Their focus is shaped by what makes them feel stuck, and without realizing it, that becomes their mental routine. But if you want to create change in your life, You need to train your focus to go where progress can grow. Progress doesn't grow in the middle of negative thinking. It doesn't grow when all your attention is locked into fear, resentment, regret, or excuses. Progress grows in clarity. It grows in direction. And it starts with you being aware of what your focus is doing. Every moment, every hour, every day. You can't keep feeding your mind constant reminders of failure and expect confidence to rise. You can't keep staring at setbacks and expect motivation to show up. You need to deliberately choose where you place your attention. That's what training your focus means. You take it seriously. You treat it like something valuable, because it is. Your focus is your energy, and where your energy goes, your future follows. Most people are focused on the wrong things, not because they want to be, but because they've never been taught how to control it. They've never been told. You can direct your focus. You can train it like a muscle. You can teach your mind to see what's useful instead of just what's urgent. But it starts with becoming aware. Start noticing what steals your focus. Is it the constant noise of comparing yourself to others? Is it fear of what could go wrong? Is it a habit of jumping from one thought to another without ever being grounded in the present? If you don't catch it, your attention becomes scattered, and scattered focus leads to scattered results. Training your focus means slowing down enough to ask yourself, what am I actually giving my energy to right now? If the answer doesn't serve your growth, you need to shift it. This doesn't mean you ignore problems. It means you don't feed them more than they deserve. You see them, you address them, but you don't live inside them. Progress is built when you focus on actions, not distractions. When you wake up and choose to think about what you can build today. When you go through your day catching the moments your mind drifts into negativity and gently pulling it back to what matters. It's not about being positive all the time. It's about being aware and deliberate with your attention. You might feel overwhelmed some days. That's normal. But even in the middle of that, you still get to decide what gets your full focus. You still have the power to say, I'm going to give my energy to something that helps me grow, not something that makes me feel smaller. When you keep doing that, something changes. Slowly your brain starts to recognize progress as the normal way of thinking. You stop seeing everything as a problem. You start asking different questions. You ask, what can I learn from this? What's the next step I can take today? What would make this day just a little better than yesterday? And those questions pull your attention toward action, toward clarity, toward the kind of mindset that doesn't break down when life gets difficult. Because a focused mind is a strong mind, and a strong mind builds real change. People often say they don't have time to focus, but it's not about time. It's about attention. You can have 5 minutes of